quick tech'lerimiz var dedik. Deep dive'larımız var dedik. Hypernet oturumlarımız var dedik. Local in action oturumları da var. Bugünkü ilk quick tech oturumumuzu birlikte gerçekleştiriyor olacağız. Hedef 0 atık, döngüdeki boşlukları yakalamak. Sadiye Bilgiç Karabulut, Çevre Yönetimi Genel Müdürlüğü, Döngüsel Ekonomi ve Atık Yönetimi Dairesi Başkanı oturumu modere edecek. Jordi Pascual, Kentler ve Bölgeler Program Lideri Circular Economy'den. Mihail Dimovski de yine Döngüsel Ekonomi Politikaları Şube Müdürlüğü, Döngüsel Ekonomi ve Atık Yönetimi Dairesi Başkanlığı takım lideri olarak bu oturumda yarım saat boyunca konuyu hızlı bir bakış atmamız için bizlerle paylaşıyor olacaklar.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues, good afternoon and welcome to the session Mission Zero Waste Minding the Circularity Gap. And I would like to thank to Merve Hanım for the introduction. My name is Sadiye Bilgiç Karabulut and I am truly honored to stand before you today as your moderator, guiding our discussion over the next 30 minutes. I would like to open the session by highlighting the strong importance of urbanization in 21st century. Our world is going through a rapid transformation under the influence of the triple planetary crisis, and the heart of this transformation beats in the cities, where more than half of the world's population lives. In this respect, the UN Habitat's new urban agenda and the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development emerge as a global movement towards sustainable and inclusive cities. It's essential to ensure the transition to circular cities with effective waste and resource management in achieving Goal 11 of SDGs, Sustainable Cities and Communities. As a matter of fact, it's known that 70% of global waste is generated in the cities. Now let us continue the discussion by giving the floor to our esteemed speakers. We are fortunate to have two experts who will address on critical aspects of urban circularity. Our first speaker is Jordi Pascual Turner, with a background in economics and experience in public sector consulting. Jordi is driven by systematic transformation and the creation of a new economic model that delivers prosperity within the boundaries of our planet. In his role as cities lead at circle economy, he works with cities at a global to unlock the potential of the circular economy to tackle their main environmental challenges while creating a livable and prosperous urban environment. Jordi, could you please explain us how can measuring circularity like Circularity Gap Report support cities in their transition to circularity?
Yeah, thank you so much, and also thank you to the organization for having me here today. Well, I think it's crucial when we talk about circularity and taking any action towards circularity to understand where we are, right? At what state of circularity or any other topic we are currently today. So we are talking about the baseline, right? And then by having this baseline, we can then understand where do we want to be in X amount of years. So this baseline is crucial. And actually today, for instance, we already know what is the sustainable consumption that globally we would need to make in order to, be within the planetary boundaries. I don't know if anyone in this room knows the per capita material footprint we would need to have to be within the planetary boundaries. Does anyone know? No? So that already shows the importance of understanding where we currently stand. It's more or less 8 to 9 tons per capita, and today we are way over twice this much. So this is why we, at Circular Economy, we are driving the Circularity Gap Report to really help cities understand the material flows and understand the material footprints and then understand what actions they can take in order to improve or increase circularity in their cities, and not only for the objective of increasing circularity, but because we also know that by increasing circularity, you also benefit many other environmental objectives, and like decreasing material footprint, carbon footprint, increasing biodiversity, and many other aspects that are so important for our economies, societies, and lives in cities. And this is where we are heading. And what I would also add is that there is a need for cities to measure circularity, and there is a lack of alignment worldwide about what indicators to measure, why we need to measure them, and this is crucial. If we don't have this, we won't be able to implement circularity, and also we won't be able to measure progress and the impact we are having. So this is why with Circularity Gap Report and other studies and research, we are very much looking at measuring circularity in cities.
So measuring is the main point to see the progress. Thank you very much, Jordi. And I would like to raise another question regarding to your explanation. How can cities increase their implementation of circularity? What is stopping them from it? I'm sure that all of the audience are curious about this answer, because what are the challenges that cities face?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that many people here work in a Turkish city or any city in the world, or work for a city, or at least live in a city, and I'm sure that you all know that cities face many challenges to implement circularity. One of them is measurement data, which, you know, cities many times are blind on what exactly do they need to do. But I would say that another big challenge is funding, financing, and this is something we have identified together with many partners, such as the European Investment Bank, but also the World Bank and other partners, that there is funding available by big institutions, multilateral banks, and there's also the willingness in cities and many times the capabilities to implement circularity. However, these two don't find each other. The funding is available, the implementation is probably there, it can happen, but there's a gap. So I do believe that funding and financing is extremely important, and we need to bridge this gap. And I think multilateral banks need to start speaking cities' language and really understand what cities are struggling with, so that this money can reach them, and then cities can have the muscles, the capabilities, the capacity to implement a lot of the ideas, projects they have, you know, on the shelf, because they don't have capacity to implement them. And then on the other hand, I think cities also need some support to, you know, understand what their projects are lacking to get this investment. And in that regard, at Circular Economy as well, we are working on two projects. One is called Definite, another one is called Circular Invest, where we focus the attention exactly on that, working with cities in helping them from a legal point of view, technical point of view, from a stakeholder management point of view, to get their projects to a level that then banks, like but multilateral banks with taxpayers' money, will, you know, provide them with loans and investments so these projects can scale, which is what we need to bring, you know, circularity to a level that really has a meaningful impact on the ground. And yeah, I've been in the field for quite some years, and I do believe that the transition is at a point now where cities and other players, businesses, are ready to implement. We just need the resources to make that happen. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jordi, for the valuable information and experiences you shared with us about how we can build the circular cities, and also the Circularity Gap report can serve as a blueprint for creating more sustainable and resilient cities. Now we are pleased to be with Mihail Dimovski, who is the team leader of DEEP project, which is a technical assistance project for assessment of Turkey's potential on circular economy. The beneficiary of this IPA-funded project is our ministry, and we are working very close with Mihail, so I can say that he's my colleague in the ministry. But Mihail has a deep experience on other EC flagship projects and programs. And I would like to ask Mihail's opinion on the what does it take to make the circular economy work for people, regions, and cities? Mihail.
Thank you very much, Sadiye. Actually, Sadiye is my boss, so my name is Mihail Dimovski. I'm responsible for the entire implementation of the DEEP project aimed to support Turkey on a journey towards becoming fully circular. Basically, we are the ones together with the main beneficiary working on the national strategy on circular economy and also the action plan on circular economy. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for the Marmara Urban Forum and also the Union of the Municipalities of Marmara region. I have been to many conferences, but this is really one massive event that brought together municipalities from everywhere, and it's a really useful forum to not only to exchange experiences, but also to bring to start good friendships. When it comes to the circularity on the local and regional and on the metropolitan level, you probably know that 80% of the overall GDP in majority of the countries comes from the cities. But on the other side, more than 70% of natural resources and also the raw materials, it also comes from the cities. So the role of the cities, the regions, within the overall circular economy strategy for country is enormous. Jordi very well mentioned the need to monitor. We have done the Circularity Gap for Turkey. It is published on the website. I can say that the circular material use for Turkey is 4.55%. Maybe a little bit lower than the European average, 11%, but much higher than 3.5% of Sweden or 2.5% of Norway. So this is one of the indicators. It was a really essential piece of work. When it comes to the municipal, metropolitan, regional level, of course, the overall strategy strives to result in the thriving cities with high level of productivity, less dependent on raw materials, with solid urban planning and solid transportation network, also to be livable in order to have less pollution, to have more social interactions, and of course to be resilient. High-level speaker today at the opening event very well mentioned what is resilience, but when we talk about the circular economy cities, we say resilience from on raw materials. The planetary boundaries are well explained, so it's really a good time to move in a strategy that to reduce the dependency on very much needed raw materials. Turkey, one of the 8 biggest OECD economies, and also still growing, and also with the projection of population to reach 95 million in 2035, really has a high dependency on raw materials and also the energy imports. And therefore, the the metropolitans, the cities, the regions, it's essential to develop their own circular economy programs, which will be in line with the circular economy strategy and action plan. In the strategy and action plan, there are proposals, concrete proposals that will be put forward that will enable circularity to work on local and regional level. When it comes to funding, yes, funding is essential, but you know, it's more important to have a very solid information on a variety of business models, circular business models, which are applicable to certain municipalities and certain metropolitans and regions. For example, in Turkey, there are metropolitans which are much bigger than some European Union member states. For example, the city of Istanbul is over 20 million, which is much bigger than the Hungary or other member states, with a huge potential and huge needs for the raw materials. Then it's extremely essential, not really funding coming from, for example, non-sovereign loans, because the municipality can take a non-sovereign loans. But still, it's more about bringing the entire financial framework of the financial institutions to be towards supporting the circularity. There are, of course, in Turkey, green bonds and also the currently interbanking trading, which will move on to the company trading of green bonds. But similar to the European Union member states, Turkey is moving to align the principles of circularity and also to align to the policies, particularly to the incoming policies from the Sustainable Product Initiative, textile strategy, plastic strategy. Some of those incoming regulations, battery regulation, the new one, will certainly bring in some limitations and some issues. And therefore, in the road to the alignment, the role of the municipalities is essential, as many of those are holding the businesses which are really dealing with not only with of course, with the recycling, because recycling itself is not only the circularity. There are very solid programs and also very solid exchange platforms on a local and municipal level within the European Union, one of the biggest trade partners of Turkey, and taking stock from all those programs, and also strengthening the cooperation, also learning on the business models which can be interpreted nationally. It's essential. When it comes to the funding, we are also analyzing also the options of bringing in the consumption tax, some portions to the municipalities and so on. But of course, this is still in development, and we really hope that very soon we will, together with the end recipient and also with the overall government of Turkey, which is involved, bring in a solid strategy and national action plan, which will, of course, have solid actions to move forward circularity on the local level, and also Jordi mentioned the circular gap assessment on local level.
Thank you, Mihail. As you are the team leader of our DEEP project, could you please tell us what are the major outputs? You mentioned the Circular Economy Action Plan, but what are the actions will be taken towards setting up the Circular Economy National Strategic Framework?
First of all, this is an extremely important and flagship project for Turkey, and I'm very honored that I'm involved in it and also responsible for the implementation. We are already 1 year in the project implementation. We have done the circularity gap assessment of the general gap assessment. We also did the sectoral impact assessment on actions to be proposed within the Circular Economy Action Plan, and what impacts they will have economic, on the job creation, and also on the social side. we expect that circular economy action plan and strategy overall will bring in to the economic development of the Republic of Turkey, but also will create also huge number of new jobs, because this is and also reduce the dependency on raw materials. We are now intensively working together with the Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, basically with the directorate which Sadiye is direct head, on the fine-tuning the action plan with the overall actions. And I would like to thank also to the union, the municipalities, particularly to Ahmet, to Jait, for taking a part within the process to bring in very solid suggestions. So we are now really into this exercise, and also putting in or reflecting the comments received from other competent authorities and stakeholders. And in the parallel, working on a circular economy strategic framework. We now also kick-started the work on the roadmap for single-use plastics, which is really something important, but also have solid and certain impacts on the overall economy and development, and marine litter as well. So basically, it will be roadmap for single-use plastics and marine litter. And we are preparing for the analysis of the recycling facilities, basically of the recycling potential of Turkey, which is enormous. And also we are in the process of kickstarting the work on analysis of the economical instruments to be deployed. When I say economical instruments, that also has a relevance to the metropolitan, to the regions, to the cities, and so this is from the strategic point what we will be dealing. We integrate also the business sector as well. We work a lot with the business sector. We are now setting up the network for material exchange. Basically, we want to set up a network for a platform for the material exchange, which is essential within the circularity. So the materials will flow from one place to another, so not to be, let's say, disposed. There are many other things, but I'm just mentioning those strategic ones, which will have really high impacts on the countries, not only on waste management practices, but rather on the economy and the job creation and dependency on raw materials. Inshallah, we hope to finalize in 1 year from now, but this is only a beginning, because in the action plan and also in the strategy, there will be certain targets, and also we are striving to have a very high ambitions, and then we will see how things will move on. And also, I forgot to mention, we are developing the monitoring framework for measuring the circularity, not only the MFA analysis only, but rather entire monitoring framework with the indicators. We are now seeing the Bellagio process from EEA, or UNEC indicators, and so on. So we are kickstarting also, because whatever should be developed should be later on monitored, and this circularity material use rate to be increased to a certain point. Yes, thank you very much.
So it's a long way for everybody, I think. And thanks, Mihail and Jordi, for sharing with us the initiatives, the challenges, and successes of the cities in their journey towards the circularity. And we still have some minutes, and I would like to make a quick wrap-up that I'm looking at my notes, that we have mentioned the measurement is very important, baseline is crucial for assessing the circularity, and data keeping is important. Also, funding and financing of the cities is very important towards circularity. They are the main aspects of circularity. And circular economy is encouraging the new business models and it's an opportunity for the cities as well, and also municipalities can make cooperations with the let's say shops and restaurants and some commercial within the city to become a circular city. And recycling itself is not only circularity, that's also an important point. It's not only waste management, but protecting the resources and using of waste as a resource is important. We have still some 5 minutes, let's say, and before closing the session, I would like to open the floor for questions from our audiences, if any. Please.
The citizens and all these strategies when you were talking about all the circular economy strategies or recycling and all these things, but how we are going to from top down to bottom down.
Example from Barcelona.
Well, I think this is a very good question, and I believe that a lot of the cities we have worked with, like Amsterdam or Malmö and many other cities, European but also outside Europe, the participatory approaches are extremely important, and I don't think that circularity can be implemented in a city top down. I think academia, civil society via NGOs and different organizations need to be heard, represented in these processes. And I think that the case of Amsterdam is a very good example, and I think a lot of the process that they followed is online. And I was present in those workshops where citizens and representatives of citizens were around the table and were feeding into the process of setting targets, defining actions that fed into the circular economy strategy, because in the end it's going to be implemented in your neighborhoods. So it doesn't make any sense to just make it top down. You need to hear businesses, citizens, and even at a neighborhood level, you can bring it there as well and then feed it back into the process. And Vienna, I think, has also a very interesting participatory process. They followed, I don't remember exactly, I think they followed that process for any process beyond circularity as well. I would point you in those directions if you want to look into more details.
Basically, there is no regulation on circularity, but it's rather embedded within the policies and also the overall vision, not only in the cities, but the overall vision of the state. Please.
Please, gentlemen. Yeah.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Well, I'll try to keep it short. What's your opinion on the contradicting policies implemented in various countries regarding the, for example, Turkey importing waste from the European Union and incinerating in Adana, for example, while trying locally to implement circular strategies, and we know the reasons for these strategies, just like to alleviate the impact of climate change, to redefine growth, etc., to reduce consumption, but at the same time importing waste from outside. And the same thing is done in various countries around the world. So how to achieve that equilibrium between these contradicting policies?
There are no contradictory policies. These are all regulated with the Basel Convention, also with the waste shipment regulation. So basically, all the trade within the secondary raw materials, when they say waste and it's mentioned the secondary raw materials, this is something which is very common, and it's also done within the European and out of the European Union member states. The shipment of secondary raw materials, the shipments of waste is not really an issue. An issue is how they are recycled or how they are treated. Recently, there is a proposal for amending the European Union waste shipment regulation that would be requiring mandatory audits for OECD countries, recipient OECD countries who are receiving the waste on the recycling facilities. So basically this is one of the measures that will be introduced not only to most probably also strengthen the European Union member states' recycling capacities, but also to make sure that the exports of waste or secondary raw materials, it's done in facilities that are properly audited and they are fulfilling the high environmental standards. So there are no, let's say, contradictory policies. It's again, it's a matter of how the waste is treated, and also it's a matter of how the facilities are recycling the waste or recycling the beneficial. I mentioned also that the platforms for exchange of raw material. This is for circularity, basically not to rely on imports of raw materials, but rather to use what other facilities have produced it as a waste for the industrial, let's
We are
say,
in the
symbiosis.
last minute, sorry for it.
Yeah.
Jordi, please.
I mean, just to add on what was being said, in the Circularity Gap report, we do try to capture what you're saying, and I do think that in cities is very, I think this is a big case, right? Because not everything that is being generated is being treated in cities, but it's being brought outside, so it's difficult to really grasp that. And I do believe that indeed there are contradictions between the policy and what in reality is happening. You know, like industrial waste, I think is a huge problem, and not is and by law it should be treated as, you know, close as possible to the facilities, but it's actually being shipped away and it's not traceable. So you don't know what's happening with that waste, and I think that's a big problem. And there are documentaries about it. So yeah, I think it's a good point.
Let us convey an important message as we leave this session. Achieving circular cities requires collective effort, shared vision and determination. Each of us has a role to play, be as policymakers or citizens. And I would like to thank you all for the kind participation, and let us continue our journey towards sustainable urban futures. Thank you.
Teşekkürler. Şimdi bir sonraki oturumumuza geçeceğiz. Bir fotoğraf alabiliriz belki. Kimse gelmedi.
Jordi, shall we?
Yeah, I took some photo. I can take more.